Hello, I'm Jo, and this is my gorgeous little dog Sasha. She'll be hogging the camera for most of this vlog. Most of you will remember me as Juiced86, the gobby bitch from the Motorstorm Apocalypse tournament. Just for the record, Matt, you won't need to mute me because I'm not going to be screaming and perforating your eardrums tonight. I've decided to jump on the video blogging bandwagon because it looks like fun, and I have quite a good selection of games that I would like to review and share my opinions with you lovely people. And you, of course, Sasha. So, without further ado, let's get cracking. So, first game we're doing tonight is Assassin's Creed 2. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Do I not have the first game? The answer to that question is yes, I do have the first game, but I have it on a different disc with one of the further along games in the series. So let's start by going over the first game. Most of you, well, I expect all of you, will know what Assassin's Creed is. If you don't, then you must have been living on another planet. Basically, quick analogy, Assassin's Creed is about a war that's going on between two opposing sides, aren't they always? Basically, you have the Templars on one side and the Assassins on another. When you play as Desmond Miles in the present day, who goes into a machine called the Animus, and you basically go back in time and you play as... Bye, Sash. You play as... Get your words out, Jo. You basically play as Desmond's ancestors. In the first game, you play as Altair in the Holy Crusades, and the game is pretty much based in and around the Middle East. You go to places like Jerusalem, Damascus, places like that. All Middle Eastern places where the Crusades took place under Richard III. Bit of history for you there. And basically, Altair goes around assassinating targets that are known Templars. It's a really good game. You get to go out hiding in hay bales, you get to jump off buildings and assassinate people, you can climb up towers, you can stand on top of spires and get absolutely amazing views of each city. It was a really good game. It was actually my friend Ash that got me into it. And I must say, it's one of the best games I've ever played. Anyway, back to the second game. Assassin's Creed 2. I already showed you it, but I may as well show you it again. Assassin's Creed 2, we move away from Altair and we go forward in time to Renaissance Italy, where we meet Ezio Auditore di Firenze, one of my favourite assassin characters, and you play as him for the next few games. But in the second one, you basically discover that Ezio had no idea of his assassin lineage, and he basically starts learning the ways of the assassins. He also goes around climbing buildings, travelling to different parts of Italy. You start in places like Florence, where else was there? Forlì, places like that. I've never even heard of Forlì, so... But it was really great game, and Ezio sort of really drags you into the whole thing. He really gets to you, he gets into your head, he gets into your heart. He really is one of the most charismatic assassins of the series. It was a brilliant game. I couldn't put Assassin's Creed 2 down when I started playing it. I absolutely loved it. Which brings me on to the second game, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. It was also the first Assassin's Creed game to include a multiplayer, which most people say multiplayer ruins games. I'm in two minds about what it did to the Assassin's Creed series. Some multiplayer levels on Assassin's Creed, I don't mind. Others, I think are a bit naff, but that's my personal opinion. In Brotherhood, we're still with Ezio, but this time we travel to Rome, which is under the rule of the Borgia family. And anyone who knows their history will know that the Borgias are a serious bunch of badasses. But they're also Templars. So you go around, you assassinate all the characters that are linked to the Borgia, and more of the same really, running around rooftops, jumping off buildings, hiding in hay bales, assassinating people. Really, really good game. It really moves the series on a lot. Most people, though, didn't like Brotherhood. They said it was the weakest one. I agree with some of them. In some parts, it wasn't as good as what I think it could be, but other parts, I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and as with all the Assassin's Creed games, brilliantly accurate as well. Moving on, Assassin's Creed Revelations. This was the final outing for Ezio, which I was rather upset about because Ezio, as I say, is my favourite assassin character. But the brilliant thing about Revelations is you also go back to the first game as well, where you play as Altair. So they merged the two of them together, and I thought that was an absolutely brilliant twist. Revelations takes place in Constantinople, so we leave Italy altogether. We continue to see Ezio building up the Brotherhood as he did in the previous game, which I forgot to mention, my bad. But it was a really good game. There was some really, really brilliant tear-jerking moments in it, especially at the end, which I won't go into too much detail about. Spoilers, shh. Bit of a reference to River Song in Doctor Who there. Anyway, final game of the Assassin's Creed series, Assassin's Creed 3. I didn't particularly think much to Assassin's Creed 3. Some of it was good and some of it was just really naff. I really didn't feel a connection with one of the characters, Connor. I mean, he's a Native American, which I have nothing against, but it's the fact that when he gets dragged into the war between the Assassins and the Templars, he just doesn't seem to give a damn. And I just thought, well, if you're going to fight for one side, you should actually probably care about it, asshole. But that's my personal opinion. Playing as Haytham Kenway, though, earlier in the game, brilliant. Haytham is one of the best Assassin's Creed characters ever. The naval missions were absolutely fantastic. Everything about the game was good, apart from when you're playing as Connor. He's just one of the most uncharismatic characters you could ever want to meet. It's like, God, you just don't want to play as him. It's that bad. But if you really want to see a decent review of Assassin's Creed 3, then I recommend watching the Angry Joe reviews, as he sums it up perfectly. And he's also rather funnily about it. He does it really well. I mean, I watched it, I was laughing all the way through. I thought the guy was brilliant. Anyway, enough waffling on. Next game, Birds of Steel. A not too bad flight simulator game, but in my opinion, not as good as the Air Conflict series. The controls for Birds of Steel are a little bit too clunky, and I just don't seem to be able to get on with them very well at the minute. I will get back to it at some point. There's 3 campaigns for Birds of Steel. You get a Japanese campaign, a French campaign, and I actually can't remember the third campaign. Naughty me. But it's just basically like all other flight simulator games. You choose your plane you fly in, you choose which side you're on. You fly around over land, overseas, you bomb people, you shoot, you have dogfights. I do like the dogfights. Dogfights are fun. Anyway, next game on the list, Dead Island Game of the Year edition. I absolutely love Dead Island. Love it, love it, love it. The Game of the Year edition also included the original game, the Bloodbath Arena DLC, the Ryder White DLC, which I didn't think much to. I preferred the Bloodbath Arena, and also the Ripper Weapon Modern Blueprint, which I didn't think much to that either. Dead Island is set on the Australian island of Benoi. You are there in the middle of a zombie outbreak, which, funnily enough, you seem to be immune to, whereas everyone else isn't. But a little bit more about that on the next game. Anyway, you basically run around the island of Benoi, picking up weapons, modifying them, and I like the fact that they made it realistic, because the more you use a weapon, the more it wears down. and you have to keep repairing it, so the more worn down it gets, the more you have to repair it. And I actually thought that was quite true to life, because in some games you can use a weapon to death and nothing ever happens, it doesn't wear out or anything. Hang on a second. Sorry about that, had to shush the dog, she's been a little bit annoying. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, Dead Island. You go around, you do quests for people to gain experience that you can acquire as skill points when you level up. And you have a choice of 4 characters. Each one has their own backstory, which they kind of draw you in, and they all have their own reasons for being on Benoit. Also, anyone who's played Dead Island, listen to Gary's impression of Sinamoi. He does it brilliantly. He just comes out with it at random when we're co-oping, and it's just... Oh, it can have you from being serious as in, damn, we're getting attacked from all sides! Next thing you know, he does a Sinamoi impression. You're laughing, then you're dead, then you get mad. What can I say? The guy's a lunatic. Anyway, that also builds up for the next game, which is Dead Island Riptide. More of the same, except it's set on a different island this time. This time you are on the island of Palanai, which is a bit further away from Benoit, but same thing again. There's an outbreak, and you seem to be the only ones that are immune to it. The only drawback to this one is that you spend too much time in one location, whereas with Dead Island you had at least 3 different areas you could explore. In this one there only seems to be 2, which was rather disappointing, but the game itself was still really good. Originally though, Riptide was meant to just be DLC for the first game, but then they extended it, they added a few bits to it, and they made it into a completely new game. Which, I think, to be fair, it does work quite well as a game by itself. Really good characters in it again. New characters, that is. You get the old characters, but I like the fact that you can import your old characters from the original game and use them. It also makes levelling up a heck of a lot easier if you've already reached certain levels in the original game. The ending for this was incredible. It was a really good twist, but it also means that there's probably going to be another one. Zombie killing goodness. Moving on. Dishonored. This is... I have a mixed opinion of this one. I like it. When I saw it, I thought, ooh, that'll be fun. And then when I got it, not particularly... Everyone who knows me will know that I'm not particularly keen on first-person shooters. I really can't get on with them, although I do make an exception for the Dead Island games. Dishonored, you play as a character called Corvo. I think it's Corvo. No, Corvo, sorry. My bad. And you basically get framed for the death of someone important. I can't remember if she's an empress or something like that. It's been a while since I've played Dishonored because I've been getting into other games. But you basically set out, you become an assassin, and you try to clear your name, trying to find out who's framed you. It's an interesting game, but I'm not that keen on it. I struggle to get into it with it being a first-person shooter. But I will try and get into it again at some point, just I don't know when. Anyway, next one. Lego Harry Potter Years 1 to 4. I do love the Lego series, and I do like Harry Potter, but I do have a major problem with this game. It was glitched to high hell. I actually lost my temper quite a few times playing this, which is very unusual for a Lego game because they're so easy. Everyone knows what Harry Potter is, whether you've read J.K. Rowling books or you've actually seen the films. Basically, it's the first 4 games, but in Lego form. There are some quite comical moments in it. It's quite fun going around in free play, collecting all the characters, collecting all the gold bricks, and collecting all the house crests. My major beef was that one of the glitches caused a brick to get stuck, so when you were trying to build it, it wouldn't actually move so you could get up to the next part, which I was very, very angry with because I'd got the game to 96% completion. I had to delete my file, go into my online storage, and re-download it to my console, and it was basically a case of I lost 50% of my game. Not a happy bunny, to say the least. Next one, Lego Harry Potter Years 5 to 7. Although technically in this it's classed as Years 5 to 8 because, as everyone knows, or most people will know if you've not read the books or seen the films, when they made the 7th film they split it into 2 parts because it was just so big. So technically that should really be Years 5 to 8. Again, it's basically the last few films made into Lego. I'm currently still playing it, but it is a really good game. Lego games aren't for everyone, but I do enjoy them. They are quite fun and it's a good way to relax if, like me, you suffer from quite a bit of game rage. Next on the list, Mindjack. This was recommended to me by Gary, and I have to say I was pleasantly surprised at this game. It's different from most other games I've played, in the sense that you can basically hack into other people's games as long as you have it set to hackers allow, which, to be fair, it's only really like having an open game on a multiplayer game and just saying that, oh yeah, anyone can join, anyone can come and join you, come and play with you. That sounds wrong. But yeah, it was a really, really good game. I really enjoyed it. You basically play as a character called, I think it was Jim Corbin. It's set in the future where a scientist has perfected the art of mind hacking, hence the title Mindjack. You can basically leave one body and hack into another and control that person. Also, you can kill your enemies and then just before they die, you can jump out of one body and jump into their bodies and send them off and attack everyone else to cause mass confusion, which was really cool. Really good game. Really, really interesting to see what you can do when you can actually hack into people's minds and control them. Really good game. I'd recommend it. Resident Evil 5 Gold Edition. I love the Resident Evil series. Absolutely love it. It was amazing. This was also my first platinum. Go me. A lot of help from Gary though for professional run through. God, I gave that poor guy such a headache. Resident Evil 5 is going back to Chris now. He's a member of the BSAA and he gets deployed to Africa, where he meets Chevrolet Lamar and they go up against the Tricell organisation. It was a really, really good game. You get new enemies in this one. Instead of zombies, they're now infected by something called the Ouroboros virus. And some of the things it can do are really, really nasty. There's some really cool takes on different monsters in it. I really enjoyed it. The Gold Edition also came with the DLC for multiplayer, which was Versus Mode, which not too bad, but the DLC I really enjoyed on that was Lost in Nightmares, which brings Chris and Jill back together. I really didn't like Desperate Escape though. God. I actually banned myself from playing it on professional because I got so much game rage I gave both myself and Gary a headache. And then he refused to play it with me and I says, well, how the hell do you think I feel? I've actually given myself a headache and I've nearly lost my voice screaming at it on professional mode. So, word of advice, don't ever ask me to play Desperate Escape. But all in all, really good game, really enjoyed it. And also, as I say, first platinum. Yay! And I'm going to have to leave it there for now. So if you've enjoyed this video blog, then good. If you haven't, then tough. Don't watch it again. I'm my own worst critic, don't worry about it. So, couple more games to do, but Facebook has a 20-minute limit, so let me know what you think, and if people like it, I may just do another one. For now though, bye bye.